The heavy oak doors of the Atlanta courtroom felt cold, but not as cold as the smirk on her husband's mistress's face. Alara Vance clutched her worn, brown leather briefcase, a comforting habit from her days as an educator, a life Marcus and Chloe now openly mocked. She sat alone, a picture of quiet, dignified resignation. Her navy blue suit was modest, professional, a stark contrast to the flashy bright red dress the other woman wore. The setting itself, the Fulton County Courthouse, was sterile and tense. It was a crisp October morning, but the high-ceilinged room felt heavy with unspoken tension and the faint smell of old wood polish. Across the aisle, her husband, Marcus Thorne, looked every bit the successful, arrogant man he had become. He wore an expensive, tailored suit, impatiently tapping a gold cross pen on the table. Beside him, so close they were almost touching, sat Chloe Bennett. Chloe, the blonde younger mistress, fanned herself theatrically with a paper fan, despite the cool air conditioning. She looked like she was enjoying a matinee show, not sitting in a court of law. The scene opened as Chloe leaned in to whisper something in Marcus's ear. He snorted, a short, ugly sound, and glanced back at Alara with open disdain. Alara kept her eyes down, focusing on her own hands, clasped tightly in her lap. Her expression was sharp, observant, but she let them see only what they expected, a woman defeated. Marcus's lawyer, a man who matched his client's arrogance, slid the divorce papers across the table. "A simple, consensual matter, Your Honor," the lawyer said dismissively, not even bothering to look at Alara. "Mr. Thorne is ready to sign." Marcus picked up his gold pen and signed his name with a confident, arrogant flourish. As he did, Chloe placed a triumphant, perfectly manicured hand on his shoulder, staking her claim. The lawyer then pushed the stack of papers toward Alara's table. "Mrs. Vance." Alara picked up the simple courtroom pen. Her hand was perfectly steady. She looked up, her eyes locking directly with Chloe's victorious gaze. Chloe, emboldened, mouthed the words silently. "It's over." Alara held her gaze for a single, unreadable beat, then looked back down at the paper. Alara takes a slow, deliberate breath, the pen hovering just above the signature line, as Judge Diaz looks on impatiently. If you are still watching and feeling the tension in that courtroom, please comment with the number 8 below just to let me know you've made it this far. We know Alara is facing injustice, but this channel is called Black Brilliance for a reason. If you haven't subscribed, I truly recommend you do so and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss the moment they truly regret their actions. Your support is what allows us to continue creating powerful content that informs and inspires you. Now, let's continue. 6 months earlier, the first crack in their marriage wasn't a shout. It was the scent of expensive perfume that didn't belong to her, clinging to his suit jacket. Alara remembers Marcus saying, "We have to project the right image, Alara," a phrase that, in hindsight, was the beginning of his shame and her erasure. The memory was still sharp, cutting like a piece of broken glass. It was at the annual charity gala held at an exclusive, old money country club in Buckhead, Atlanta. The air was thick with forced smiles and the clinking of champagne glasses. Alara, though dressed beautifully in an elegant deep blue gown, felt the subtle stares. She was one of the few black faces in the room, and the patronizing smiles she received made her feel like an exhibit. Marcus, in his element, was immediately drawn into a conversation with donors, leaving her isolated by the bar, a silent accessory. Chloe Bennett, then still just his assistant, approached Alara holding a clipboard, a picture of blonde efficiency. "Oh, Alara, so glad you could make it," Chloe said, her voice just loud enough for the nearby guests to hear. Her smile was wide, but her eyes were cold. Marcus is just so inclusive in his personal choices. Alara's hand tightened on her small clutch. Chloe continued, "It's inspiring, really, how he embraces diversity, even when it must be socially challenging." The coded racism was palpable. It hung in the air, thick and suffocating. A few nearby guests chuckled nervously into their drinks, looking away. It was a perfectly crafted insult, a microaggression designed to put Alara in her place, to mark her as other. Later that night, in the dark confines of their car, Alara finally confronted him. "Did you hear what she said?" Her voice was quiet, shaking slightly. Marcus sighed, an angry, impatient sound. He loosened his bow tie, suddenly furious. "You're being paranoid, Alara. You're oversensitive." He hit the steering wheel. "Chloe is competent, and she's vital to my business. You're twisting things because you're jealous of her education and the way she handles herself in these circles. You need to let this go." Marcus's line, "You're twisting things," hit Alara harder than a slap. The gaslighting was immediate and brutal. She realized he hadn't just chosen another woman. He had actively, shamefully chosen to devalue her identity. He was embarrassed by her. In that moment, she knew her marriage was over. Back in the present courtroom, Alara looks at Marcus's signature. The memory of that humiliation fades, replaced by cold, hard resolve. The betrayal wasn't just emotional. It was digital, hidden in plain sight on line 47 of their joint bank statement, a single transfer for $200,000. Alara recalled Marcus joking just last Christmas, "You handle the boring stuff, Alara. I'm just the ideas man." She now realized he'd relied on her to be trusting, not thorough. The memory was from a cold night, 4 or 5 months ago. Marcus was on another late work night, and Alara, unable to sleep, sat alone at the home office desk. A cup of chamomile tea sat beside her, long gone cold. She wasn't looking for anything, just reviewing their finances, a routine she'd always managed. And then she saw it, Thorne Bennett Holdings, LLC. A company she'd never heard of. A transfer of $200,000. A quick online search, her fingers flying across the keyboard, connected the LLC directly to Chloe Bennett. The betrayal was sharp, physical, like a punch to the gut. Alara's breath hitched, but she didn't stop. She opened Chloe's public social media. The screen illuminated her face as she scrolled through a timeline of arrogance. Photos of a new white Mercedes, a work trip to Miami where she was posing in a bikini, and a close-up of new diamond earrings, all posted in the weeks following the transfer, all while Marcus claimed the business was tight on cash. Alara didn't cry. The humiliation from the country club had broken her heart, but this discovery forged it into steel. She closed the laptop, made an appointment. The next day, she sat in a sleek, powerful law office in downtown Atlanta, overlooking the busy artery of Peachtree Street. She was meeting Isabella Bella Reyes, a sharp, no-nonsense Latina lawyer renowned for destroying arrogant husbands. Bella, in a crisp, dark suit, listened intently as Alara laid out the facts, her voice steady. When Alara finished, Bella leaned forward, her dark eyes sharp. "They don't just think you're replaceable, Mrs. Vance," Bella said, her voice firm. "They think you're stupid because you've been kind." Bella then outlined the plan. "You will be the most agreeable, heartbroken, submissive wife he has ever seen. You will give him everything he wants, on paper." Bella smiled, a thin, dangerous smile. "Let his arrogance be the rope we give him. We let them think they've won." Alara, back in the present courtroom, finally looks up at Judge Diaz. "Your Honor," she says, her voice quiet but clear, "before I sign, I believe there is a significant misunderstanding regarding the marital assets. Alara has found her ally, and the trap is officially set. If you are still watching and you're ready to see them spring that trap, please comment with the number 8 below to let me know you're here." This is where the story truly begins. They underestimated her, but they forgot what channel this is. Black Brilliance. If you haven't subscribed, I seriously recommend you do it now and turn on that notification bell. You do not want to miss the moment Marcus and Chloe finally get what they deserve. Your support is what allows us to keep bringing you these powerful stories of justice and inspiration. Now, let's get back to that courtroom. A misunderstanding? Marcus's lawyer scoffed, adjusting his silk tie, his voice dripping with condescension. "Mrs. Vance, this is a simple, consensual divorce, which you agreed to." Alara's gaze didn't waver. "It is not consensual," she stated, her voice steady and clear, ringing in the quiet room. "Not when one party is actively defrauding the other." The atmosphere instantly shifted from procedural boredom to high-tension drama. Phones were discreetly silenced. Marcus's lawyer objected loudly. "Your Honor, this is a baseless delay tactic. My client has been more than generous." Judge Mateo Diaz, who had been watching Alara intently, held up a hand. He leaned forward, removing his reading glasses, his expression now sharp. Objection overruled. I'll hear this. Proceed, Ms. Reyes. Bella Reyes stood, moving with precision. She was holding a thick, perfectly tabbed binder. Your Honor, we are not here to contest the divorce, but the terms. Specifically, the marital assets Mr. Thorne has attempted to hide. Marcus looked annoyed, not yet scared. Chloe just looked confused, her paper fan frozen mid-wave. Bella placed Exhibit A on the projector. A bank statement illuminated the wall. Exhibit A, bank statements showing a $200,000 transfer from the marital joint account to a newly formed LLC, Thorne Bennett Holdings. Bella paused, letting the name sink in. An LLC, Your Honor, which was formed 3 days prior and is wholly owned by Ms. Chloe Bennett. Chloe's face drained of all color. The fan slipped from her fingers and clattered to the floor. Marcus jumped to his feet, his chair scraping loudly. That's a lie. That was a legitimate business investment. This is absurd. Bella Reyes smiles thinly, not looking at Marcus, but at the judge. Then perhaps Mr. Thorne can explain Exhibit B, screenshots from Ms. Bennett's public social media, cataloging her investment, a new Mercedes, a trip to Miami, and diamond earrings, all purchased the week following the transfer. The courtroom was deathly silent, save for the clicking of Bella Reyes's heels as she placed a small digital audio recorder on the evidence table. Marcus was sweating profusely now, his expensive suit jacket looking too tight, his face pale. Chloe was visibly trembling, her smugness completely gone, replaced by raw, animal panic. Mr. Thorne often complimented my client on her thoroughness as an educator, Bella noted, her voice calm and measured, addressing the judge. He just never realized how thoroughly she would document his deception. Bella pressed play. The first recording filled the room. It was Marcus and Chloe celebrating. Marcus's voice unmistakable. She's too trusting. She'll just sign it. She won't even notice. We just need her to sign, and we're free. Marcus's lawyer put his head in his hands. Bella played the second recording. This time, it was Chloe, laughing, a harsh, ugly sound in the quiet room. I told you, Marcus, she doesn't belong in this world. That's why your little diversity project is over. Judge Diaz slammed his gavel. The sound cracked through the room like a gunshot. Silence. He looked at the recorder, then at Marcus and Chloe, his face thunderous with a controlled rage. His voice was low and dangerous. This is not just fraud, he said, his words precise. This is repugnant. Marcus, utterly desperate, finally snapped. He turned on Alara, his face red and contorted. You spied on me. You trapped me. Alara finally looked at him, her eyes no longer submissive, but filled with cold, clear power. You underestimated me, Marcus, she said, her voice steady and cutting. You and your colleague. You thought I was stupid because I am black and because I was kind. You trapped yourselves. Judge Diaz leaned forward. Mr. Thorne, Ms. Bennett, I strongly advise you to remain silent. Based on the evidence presented, this court is freezing all of Mr. Thorne's assets, personal and business, effective immediately. And bailiff, notify the district attorney's office. 6 months later, the sign on the polished glass door didn't read Vance anymore. It read Vance Education and Diversity Consulting, LLC. Alara sipped her morning coffee, hot, black, and strong, looking out at the Atlanta skyline. This was the view from her office, a bright, modern corner office overlooking Centennial Olympic Park. Sunlight streamed in, illuminating the new beginning she had built for herself, brick by painful brick. Her new assistant, a bright young woman, brought in a financial report. Alara scanned it, a small smile touching her lips. Business was good. She had landed 2 major corporate clients, and her workshops on diversity and inclusion were in high demand. Her new iPhone, the one she'd bought herself, rang. It was Bella Reyes. Morning, Alara. Just wanted to let you know the final settlement is done. You got 75% of everything that was left, plus damages. Alara closed her eyes, a wave of relief washing over her. Bella continued. By the way, I heard Marcus is working a commission-only sales job, living in a 1-bedroom apartment near the airport. Chloe left him the day his accounts were frozen. The news came from public record and industry gossip. Marcus Thorne's company had filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. He was under criminal investigation for fraud. Chloe Bennett, also implicated, had disappeared after her social media evidence became embarrassingly public. Alara thanked Bella, her voice thick with gratitude. She hung up and looked at the city below. She hadn't sought revenge. She had sought justice. By underestimating her, by seeing only her race and her quiet demeanor, they had handed her the very tools to defeat them. Her perceived weakness had been her greatest, most powerful secret. She straightened the blazer of her sharp new suit, ready for her next meeting. She was no longer the wife of anyone. She was simply and powerfully CEO Alara Vance. Her first major client, the CEO of a major Atlanta corporation, arrived for a diversity workshop. Alara walks out to greet them, a genuine confident smile on her face. "Welcome," she says. "Let's begin." Alara's victory is a powerful reminder that strength often lies not in loudness, but in quiet integrity. True brilliance is often underestimated, hidden beneath a surface that the world is too quick to judge. Like a seed buried in the dark, character and intelligence grow silently, waiting for the right moment to bloom. If this story of resilience and justice resonated with your heart, we invite you to continue these inspiring conversations by joining our community, right here at Black Brilliance.